The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is The Loudness, where our random, rowdy, and raunchy band of misfits create top 10 lists of life's most insane shit. Be scared. Nothing is off limits. So congratulations.
You just made the list!
I'm the Music God, Swain, and this is another episode of The Loud List, number 12 for this one. And you heard this gentleman last week with the top 15 white people jams. So this week, we back to do something that is, again, out of my comfort zone. I had to scramble for this one. I had to do a little bit of thing. I had to go back to the YouTube and to the music thing and be like, okay, what songs do I remember by these folks that I used to jam out to back in the old school days when you had the big 10-wood box stereos with the big speakers with the 15-inch subs and shit, and you try to piss the neighbors off, have stereo wars, see who could get the loudest.
Yeah.
So today we are doing the greatest 90s R&B groups. 90s. One group did not make my list because they technically came out shortly or at the very, very end of the 90s, but most of their shit was in the 2000s. So I had to like take them off the list, which was kind of a shame because they were really awesome. Co-host though, again, or co-host, special guest, partner in crime, whatever term you want to use. It's my boy Xcursion.
Ain't all too much, man. Just sitting over here, relaxing, hearing these folks already going in with their 4th of July fireworks in June. How about yourself?
Yeah, we play that game every year. Is it fireworks or gunshots?
Exactly.
Do I duck or do I die?
Hey, no, for real. Yeah. Oh, so that's good on my end. You said, but how about yourself though?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm good, man. I'm gonna have fun with this one. Just a little bit out. I won't say it's out of my comfort zone, but something I'm not as known for. So I'm gonna kind of flex the brain muscles a little bit and make some people laugh with my funny takes on these groups. So you got any honorable mentions? You just got to 10 like me.
I just got to 10, honestly. Like, if any of them come up or whatnot to where it's like, you know what, they did deserve an honorable mention, I'll go ahead and say it in real time. But off the top of my head, nah.
All right, cool. So we just gonna kick into it. This is the top 10 greatest favorite, whatever you want to use, 90s R&B groups. Now, by R&B, it's going to be kind of definitive what we did. It was just straight R&B. No funk, no disco, no. We didn't get all fancy with it and try to get all creative. These were the 90s groups that you jammed out to, that you made babies to, you turned the lights down for, that you played the dominoes to, babes. Hopefully you didn't shoot each other to it because
right.
Look, but then again, you know, I'm sure one or two people got shot because of these bands. Motherfuckers creeping around doors they shouldn't be creeping around, you know?
Right. So anyway.
Yeah, right. Number 10. What you got number 10 for your 90s R&B?
90s R&B for number 10. I got them here because, well, I do rock with them. Out of the other ones that I do rock with here that also made the list, they just wound up in the bottom of the barrel. You know what I mean? Like, you know, no disrespect to them. Again, they are dope. Right. They just aren't as good as the other ones ahead of them. Escape.
Okay.
I got Escape at number 10. You know what I mean? Like, just kicking it. Who do I run to? Excuse me. Who do I run to?
I got him on my list just a tiny bit higher, but not much.
Yeah.
Number 10 for me, these guys would have been higher if they would have had more singles, but I'd put them on my list, even though a lot of people probably wouldn't have them on my list, just because they were smooth as hell, and they had two really, really great singles. Last Night, and then they did that cover of Hard to Say I'm Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
That Last Night, that song is smooth, man. Like, that vocal harmony in that is just...
It was.
Brothers are singing.
That motherfucker basically said he saw a heaven. You know what I'm saying? You know, make a love to that girl.
Their voices matched so perfectly, man. And it was just like, yeah, that's it right there. Yeah, As Yet is my number 10. Okay. Number 9.
True. Number 9, I would say honestly, number 9, I like this group, but I really didn't hear too much from them or too much like that. I like them better than Escape, but I kind of wish that they were around a tad bit longer, especially with them rocking with Keith Sweat to the degree that they did, which is how I heard of them in the first place. Cut Close.
Okay. Don't know that one. That was
Okay.
one on my radar, so we'll have to. I'm definitely going to check them out. Hold on. I can't hear you because your phone is ringing.
Hold on one short second. My apologies. Do we need to run this back?
No, you're good. We weren't saying anything.
Okay, cool.
You need to make a call real quick or something? I can pause this.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and make this call real.
So, number 9, Cut Close for you. Number 9 for me, very much in the vein of As Yet. Had one main song. They had a bunch of songs, but they had one main song, and it was the baby making song to me of the 90s, man.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Fall in love. Shy, man. Shy moved as shit. When I heard that song, I was like, yeah, you know some babies getting made to that shit, man. Like,
I don't know.
they were like As Yet, but even better. Like, they were, their voices just fit so damn good together, man. And it was like, didn't have a ton of hits, obviously, but still in my top 10 because I still listen to them. And they're one of them bands that I go back to, like, even now that, it's 30 years later, and I don't even know if they're still together or what they're doing or where they've moved on to whatever, but I still listen to that record, that first record, man, because that's smooth. So, Shy is my number 9. Number 8, what you got at number 8?
What makes it so wild is like, it's pretty much the same group, you know what I'm saying, for the same reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to put them in the top 10. They were just one up a tad bit more than you. But it's pretty much for the same reasons. They only had that one single. They are one hit wonder. But when it comes down to the 90s, even with them just having that one hit rung off enough to where 30 plus years later, you say you ask anybody about like their favorite songs in the 90s, and that is going to come up as one of them. So like, it's just, even though it's only one hit, it's an undeniable hit. Like you said, it was a nuke in the 90s. You know what I mean?
It was.
Yeah. You said it's that song, like you said, like you're saying, like, that song conceived babies. You know what I mean? For sure. And it's acapella too. You know what I'm saying? You can hear the old girl moaning, and you're saying, wow, you hear, the music playing, the song playing in the background here too. Yeah. Shit. You're saying you gonna imagine your own sex scene in a movie, you know what I'm saying, playing that shit. So yeah.
Nice. So number 8 for me, you already had him on your list. I got Escape at number 8.
Okay.
I put them a little bit higher because they did have multiple hits, which the other groups, As Yet had the 2 main ones. Shy kind of only had the one. Escape had at least three that were, major hits video-wise, and they did have 2 platinum records. So, and hey, T.I. got lucky with his wife coming from the group. So for some reason, I don't know why I thought Tiny was married to Lil Wayne instead of T.I. I just, for some reason, it was like Lil Wayne and what is Lil Wayne's wife's name? Is her name Tiny too? Or is it something like Tiny?
I think it might be. I'm gonna have to Google that. Matter of fact, let me Google that. See.
For some reason, it seemed like I remember Lil Wayne having like a Tiny in his circle of something, whether it was a son or a daughter or something or another, but obviously it's T.I.'s wife, and they're still out, still touring. So
Toya is her name. Toya Johnson.
Okay, so that's why it was not Tiny Toya. Okay, close. So Escape. That's my number 8.
Okay.
So number 7.
All right. So number 7 here for me is gonna be Soul for Real.
Okay.
Candy Rain. That was a. I mean, like they were dope as a group here, but like I know they only had but so many hits for real. You said before they eventually dropped off, but again, much like Sha, what I mean, they made enough of an impact to be remembered, even if it is only for 1 or 2 hits.
Another one that completely escaped my radar. Like I said, I got the basic white girl list more or less, but I think my number 7. I'd call it a basic choice because definitely one I listened to a ton, but everybody, all my white friends, none of them knew this group. Now all my black friends knew this group because, I don't think you could grow up in the hood and not know who Tony is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my number 7 is Tony.
I got you. You said I got them a little higher, but you said I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So, none of my white friends knew who they were. I don't even remember what video it was popped on the TV one day. I was waiting to go to work. I think it was It Never Rains in Southern California. They did that, their version of that, if I remember correctly. And I had never heard them at that point, but I sat back like this and I was like, that's a smooth ass song right there. Like, you know what? I could rock with that. Like, so I went out and I bought the CD, and then I got into some of their earlier stuff, that I think that was on like the 3rd or 4th CD or something. But it was like, yeah, okay. And that's the one I don't know if I'm gonna get this wrong. Raphael Sadiq is in that group, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, okay. Because Raphael, once he went solo, he had some really good solo stuff too. So he was, like I said, I saw that video just randomly. Never seen him before, and I rocked with him right after that because I was like, all right, that's a smooth song. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
That's my number 7. Number 6.
Number 6, again, man, I don't know what it is with some of these groups, man. I could have sworn they had, well, no, I know this one did have more hits than just one, even though the other ones were lesser known. But, oh, man, I really hate that some of these groups didn't get the shine that they really deserve. But anyhow, just to cut to the chase, number 6 would be Groove Theory. Tell me if you want me to give you all my time. I wanna make it good for you.
I'm gonna have to go back and check all these out because I don't know half of the one. I figured your list was gonna be like way better than mine.
Nah, you good.
A lot of these groups came during the period where I was playing in a death metal band, so I wasn't exposed to the music as much, other than the obvious stuff that came on MTV on occasion, or you might hear somebody walking down the street and they'd be playing it in their car and you'd be like, it's kind of smooth, But for the most part, from like 90 through 96, I was playing with psychotherapy, playing borderline death metal. So I was pretty into the more heavy stuff. But still listen to everything, but just because I was actively involved in playing and touring and that kind of stuff, I didn't get as much time to indulge and really, hear the stuff the way I could have or should have. So we would definitely be going back and checking these out. Number 6 for me, it's a basic white girl pick. I got Color Me Bad.
Okay.
Yeah, they had some grooves, and the one white boy looked like George Michaels, and the other black dude, he kind of looked like somebody else. So they were kind of original but not original, but
right.
They were funky, and they could sing, and they had some grooves. Couldn't ignore them, even if you wanted to. They were kind of everywhere. So so I got Color Me Bad, with my basic bitch ass.
You're all right. You good. No, that's a good one here too.
Number 5.
Number 5. Oh yeah, I got New Edition at number 5.
Okay.
No, hold on. My fault. No, I just looked at my list. No, I kind of gave one away a little too early.
Oh, that's okay.
It was actually Blackstreet at number 5. No diggity. Not gonna bag it up.
Yeah. So my number 5 is a New Edition, but it kind of is New Edition.
Okay.
Number 5 for me is a group who made me a ton of money the summer of 1990. I owe these brothers few dollars because when they came out, they had the graffiti pants, the graffiti coat, the graffiti jeans.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted those lookalike knockoffs. And my roommate, he was an airbrush specialist when we worked at Cedar Point that summer. And Craig, being the airbrush dude that he was, he did this coat for his girlfriend. And one of the black girls was like, hey, can you airbrush anything? And Craig's like, I can airbrush anything. What do you want? And she's like, I got this pair of pants and I want this on it. Have you seen the Belle Biv DeVoe video for Poison? We're like, yeah.
Oh,
I want like that. Okay, cool. Craig's like, you bring me the pants, $25, we'll get it done. She took those pants, wore them one day, and within a week, we were doing 15 pair a night at like $30 a pop. Dude, we made $7,000 as a side hustle that summer, airbrushing fucking shirts, pants, bib overalls, shit, and that Belle Biv DeVoe style. Like that shit kicked off. We had an assembly line in our dorm, in our fucking room. Like we had a clothesline went across, and I would fucking do the shit in marker, and then Craig would come behind me with the airbrush and just come down the fucking line one to the other. We were making $30 a pop, and it took like 15 minutes, 20 minutes for each pair, and just money all summer long, bro. Like, it was the sickest side hustle I have ever had in my life. And it was all thanks to Belle Biv DeVoe and that goddamn Poison video. So shout out to Belle Biv DeVoe. I owe you brothers at least a dinner if I ever get to meet you, because we made some stacks that summer off of y'all. And I will say this, we were not selling any unauthorized nothing. Like these were people that wanted their name in that style, or they wanted a saying in that style. We didn't do any Belle Biv DeVoe anything. Like nobody wanted anything that said Belle Biv DeVoe. They wanted their names, they wanted their nicknames, they wanted their, whatever. And Craig's like, I don't give a fuck. You bring me the pants, shirt, whatever you wanted on, and $30 in cash. And we were making money as fast as we could get them. Like we couldn't make these motherfuckers fast enough, dude. It was stupid, And I didn't even think it was that good of a fashion trend, honestly. Like I didn't think it was that cool. Yeah. It was just something where it's okay, it's different, but it's not something I would have ever wore. I was much more into like the hyper color, or like what KSR1 was rocking, that type of shit. I thought the Belle Biv DeVoe thing was kind of but hey, I sure gonna take that money, because like dude, 1990. I'm telling you right now, $500-600 a night.
Oh hell yeah! You ain't gotta give me no boys.
I take that money all day, every day. Like we were like seriously, we were making, like I said, $30 a pair, and we were doing 15 to 20 a night. So we were somewhere between $500-600 a night. We were doing, and we were doing it like 3 nights a week. So we were doing $2,000 a week.
For real.
Until they shut us down, because somebody ratted us out, and you can't do it anymore. It's an unauthorized business. And Craig was like, this is where Craig got him. It's an unauthorized business. Craig reached into his wallet, and he's like, bam, business license, bitch, airbrush wizardry. He had a registered fucking company in Michigan, had a business license and everything. So he told these bitches, ain't nothing unauthorized, bitch. I got a business license for this shit. Like, fuck you, get the fuck out my room. So they just looked at him and was like, okay, like, you can't touch me, bitch. You can't say it's an unauthorized business. This shit is registered. I'm paying taxes on it. I got a business license, every fucking thing. So, you can move that shit down the line, and they left us alone. But we slowed down because, it was getting out of hand, and it was just one of them things. Anyways, in the long-winded.
I got you.
Number 4. Who you got at number 4?
Number 4 was New Edition.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, like shoot, I know, like shoot, Mr. Telephone
2.
Man. Huh?
Yeah. It's New Edition version 2 with Johnny Gill.
Yeah.
The main part of the songs came out in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Telephone, that was in the 80s. So it was the Johnny Gill version that was in the 90s.
Yeah, well, just to keep it 90s, yes, and we're gonna slide Johnny Gill in there. And for real, Johnny Gill was the best singer in New Edition when he became part. But like, he didn't get the same type of he didn't get the same type of love though, because he didn't grow up with him. So it just is what it is.
I think it was something else that had to do with Johnny not getting the same kind of love. Like, there were rumors about Johnny.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though.
So I don't knock a motherfucker's hustle. You do what you do, but you can't be singing those kind of songs and have those kind of rumors floating around.
This is also the truth.
Like, motherfucker, there was only room for one Luther Vandross. Yes, I went there.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, I ain't gonna touch that one with your dick.
No, I got you. I just know. Yeah, listen.
No disrespect to any of them. I love Luther. Sometimes the roof off the mother, but
I got you. No, but I'll go ahead.
Number 4 for me, before we get in too much trouble, and
right.
Number 4 for me is Jodeci, however you say their name. I'll put Jodeci over just Casey and JoJo because Casey and JoJo were cool, but Jodeci were the one. They were the panty droppers. So Casey and JoJo could sing. But what set them apart from the group was Devontae Swing, man. He had that production on top of just the singing. So, and that was what Casey and JoJo lacked once they went solo. So you definitely got to take into account what Devontae. Maybe he didn't add vocally as much, but he added on the back end of, Devontae and his brother definitely put the swing in the. So,
yeah, for sure.
So that's my number 4. Number 3, pretty sure I know who the top 3 are. I mean, it's unless one of the groups that I don't have you creep in there, but I mean, I don't think there's really anyone else that could be the top 3. But then again, something I don't know. So number 3.
Hey, no, I got you. No, I will say here too, there is an honorable mention here now that I done went through this list.
Okay.
I had number 3. I had Jodeci at number 3 for the reasons that you mentioned: the production for Devontae and his brother, and the singing, the vocal abilities of Casey and JoJo. Now, when they split, it showed just how much they needed each other. For real, for real. Even though Casey and JoJo did have a successful career as a duo. You know what I mean? But, you know what I'm saying? And while their production didn't lack, it just paled in comparison to what they had with Devontae and his brother and Jodeci. You know what I mean? And Devontae and his brother being the producers for real, they didn't carry too much vocally as much as Casey and JoJo did. Like you're saying now, we might, give Devontae a little bit of credit, whatnot, like you're saying, with him doing what he did, you're saying, with that talk box or whatever like that. But he wasn't all that vocally present or strong like that. Like you're saying, like the most credit we can ever give was really because of Casey shouting them out. You're saying there's certain songs where Devontae sang da da da. You know what I mean? But either way it goes, like like they're the prime example of, I'm good by myself, but I'm a force when we're together. You know what I mean? When they were together, like you said, they had the panty droppers. I fooled around and engaged in a couple things here or whatnot, like you said, da da da, to freaking you. You know what I mean? And and we had a playlist going or whatever. You know what I'm saying? During that particular night, so on and so forth. I ain't saying no names, ain't giving no super details. But when that came on, I made sure to kick shit in the second gear. You know what I mean? So all that basically being said and whatnot, just to get to this so we can move forward, they were the ones that went out, to where before they split, they had a chokehold on people. They had a chokehold on R&B for a long time.
Nice. Number 3 for me, and En Vogue. I mean, En Vogue they were just bad. And, free your mind. That guitar, there were 2 guitar riffs in R&B, man, just were out of place, but came at the perfect time. One was that En Vogue song. The other was Black Cat by Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
Both of those songs had that ripping ass guitar riff in it. It just, normally you wouldn't hear it like in an R&B type of song, but it just elevated those songs to, that En Vogue song, this, that grit that guitar gave it, and, to hear the way they sang it, was just, it gave it that extra power. Yeah. And En Vogue is badass. I mean, they're still out there kicking it and they still sound just as awesome. So that's my number 3. Number 2.
Number 2, I got Boys to Men.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Coolie High Harmony. You know what I mean? End of the Road. I'll Make Love to You. You know what I'm saying? Like they really had like the love ballads. You know what I mean? Now, like if you were one of the ones that chose Boys to Men over Jodeci, well shoot, they had the panty droppers for you too. You know what I'm saying? Y'all done fooled around and conceived babies off of Boys to Men as well. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth, you know what I mean? But like they were the polar opposites to Jodeci, which is why they get pinned against each other the way that they do. Jodeci was more rough around the edges. You know what I'm saying? Boys to Men was more laid back and chill. You know what I mean? So, but me being like a subtle mix between both, but more laid back and chill than anything. You know what I mean? I'm more of a Boys to Men type of person, but I fucks with Jodeci the long way as well, as you can see. Yeah, but yeah, Honestly, like,
I think our one and twos. I think our one and twos are going to be reversed from each other. I'm pretty sure. My number two is TLC. I got TLC at number two just because my number one, pretty much what you just stated. TLC, they had all the hits, man. They had the bangers, the slow songs. Lisa could just light shit up anytime she wanted. Chili was just
man.
there, man. Like, whoo,
Yeah.
like Chili was like, damn. That's the kind of girl I need to marry right there. None of them were, none of them were fucking hard to look at. Let me put it that way, So above and beyond being hot, street smart, they just, they knew how to put it together, man. So TLC is my number two. So number one, who do you have at number one?
Yeah. It was the reason that's why I did that loud ass high like I did when you said the number two and the number one might be mixed up between us because TLC is my number one.
Everything gonna be all right.
You know what I mean? But like, no, and it's for every reason that you mentioned. You know what I mean? I was hesitant on even having them on the list, period, because Left Out was a rapper of the group. But shoot, you know what I'm saying? They still met the qualifications of an R&B group, because now that we had set. So yeah, TLC, man. Again, like I'll say it like this, and this is one major thing here when it comes down to like musical influences, even with me as an artist. I modeled myself after the people who have shown themselves to have great versatility. You know what I'm saying? Who have shown themselves, to be consummate artists. You know what I mean? Because that's what I wanted to be when not deciding to be a rapper. Like, I want to be able to touch as many avenues as possible. You know what I mean? So on and so forth with my skill set, with my subject matter, everything. And they did that shit. You know what I'm saying? They got whatever mood you in, whatever message you need to send across, whatever vibe you want to carry, or want to set. They got something for you on every side of whatever like that. Like I ain't too proud to beg. You know what I mean? Motherfucking creep. You know what I mean? For the ones that want to go on sneaky links and shit. You know what I mean? Red light special. Waterfalls. Talk about, the people or whatnot, that's getting themselves into trouble or whatnot. Being stubborn, not listening to people that's giving them advice to help to take them into a better direction. So on and so forth. You know what I mean? Yeah, they embodied whatever it is that they wanted to cover, they embodied that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'll even give this one here, going on the personal side also here too. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the next projects I'm about to get ready to release is called Lever Lyricist Lunatic. Part of that is apart from each of those, talk about like different aspects of my character and personality. I came up with that name or whatever, or even like, laying it out that way, from, thinking back to TLC's Crazy Sexy Cool. Because they did the same thing, you were not on that album. They showed the crazy, they showed the sexy, they showed the cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they're somewhat of a muse also, even with what I'm doing here currently. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? Got, I put them up at number one here for that reason.
Nice. My number one is Boyz II Men. I had them just a little higher than TLC. TLC, outstanding. But Boyz II Men, man, that whole summer in 1990, Motown Philly, man, was a banger, bro. Like, Motown Philly's back again. I mean, everywhere. And then they did just one song after another, man. I'll Make Love to You, End of the Road. It was just in every kind of like slow, and then they funk, and then they had the sort of new jack. And I mean, they were consummate, man. It was like, yeah, these brothers, were just all about, to me, what R&B was. And I still got all other physical CDs, of everyone on this list, they're probably the only one I have the physical CDs from. So, I got them not a lot, but just a little bit higher than TLC in the fact that, again, they're still around. I think they're a 3-piece now instead of a 4-piece, but still out there, still doing it, still sound damn good. So number one for me was Boyz II Men. It was never a question. Boyz II Men was going to be my number one. TLC was going to be my number 2. It was simply who are the other 8 that are going to make that list.
Matter of fact, just even give the honorable mentions because I know I said I had Tony up a little bit higher, but you know what I'm saying. But then the more I looked at my list, it's like, oh no, hold on, I actually don't even have them up here at all. So I have Tony in my honorable mentions, and I'm also have In Vogue in my honorable mentions because no, they definitely deserve to be mentioned here as well, and I'm glad that you have them on your list. And then the last honorable mention that I'm going to give is SWV.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Sisters with Voices, hey, shit. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, I saw them on the list. I wasn't as familiar with them. I know they did the Versus thing with En Vogue, and I know they tour together, and they're like sort of, you know, associated together a lot. So I didn't put them on my list simply because I wasn't familiar with them. Not that they're not great or I guess didn't deserve. I sort of went with, for my list, it was a combination of what I knew and what I thought was great. And, you know,
you got a good list.
I'm going to go back on your list and check out these. There's like 3, 1, 2. Yeah, there's three on your list that I'd never heard that I know of. So I won't go back and see what the hype is and see what they're about, you know.
Hey, let me know when you do, man. Let me know what you think.
You know, because I'm always up for new music. So with that said, that's your top 10 90s R&B groups.
Yeah.
We may come back at a later day. We may do the 90s R&B artists, non-group. So so you know, later on you'll get your Teddy Riley, you'll get your Joe, you'll get your
Brian McKnight.
Yeah, your Brian McKnight, you'll get your and
your Tank.
You know, you get your other ones that were the solo, because that was I like I said, as I was going down the list, the majority of them were solo artists and was kind of
we could do the solo artists too though. You just let me know.
The solo artists won't be nearly as hard as the group. The groups was harder for me. So with that said, as always, be well, treat each other with kindness, and remember, no matter what you're going through, music heals.